Hello everyone. In this video I will show you how to properly install a pull-up bar on a drywall wall. Many people think that by buying a pull-up bar, they have solved the entire problem. In reality, this is not the case. When installing a pull-up bar on a drywall wall, they will encounter many nuances and problems. And I will tell you how to solve all these problems and install the pull-up bar on the drywall firmly and reliably. And don't worry when you do some exercises on it. You might fall, get injured, or cause some damage to your home, your renovation, or your interior. I installed this pull-up bar 2 years ago on the garage wall, and there were absolutely no problems. The kit came with 2 brackets like these, which I attached to this wall made of concrete casting that is 20 centimeters thick. There were no issues at all. Each bracket is mounted on 2 through bolts, meaning there are through holes with bolts tightened on both sides with nuts. However, when installing such a pull-up bar at home on a wall with drywall, you may encounter several nuances. First, you won't be able to go through completely. Second, you will need to create a spacer between the actual wall and the drywall to prevent the pull-up bar from pushing through due to its weight. Moreover, you will also need to apply some kind of support, as if the upper fastenings are working in tension. The lower fastening will also need to have some support. In this video, I will show you everything and explain how I solved this problem, what nuances there are when installing the fastening system, and in general, all the nuances of installing a pull-up bar from A to Z. That's it, let's take inside. Unfortunately, I did not find a ready-made solution for mounting such a pull-up bar on a drywall wall. Therefore, I had to get a little creative and make such a bracket myself. What points should be paid attention to? First, the structure itself must be sufficiently sturdy. As you understand, the loads on the pull-up bar during exercises are quite significant. First, I made it by welding 2 parts of an angle and a strip for the pocket. For mounting the pull-up bar, the pocket itself is larger than a standard bracket. I noticed that when you do intense exercise, the pull-up bar wobbles a little, and there was a situation when the children were trying to perform some acrobatics on this pull-up bar, and the pull-up bar kept threatening to come off the brackets. Therefore, I decided to approach the issue thoroughly and secured it with a serious reserve so that the pull-up bar would definitely not come loose. Here, I welded this angle and reinforced it with a brace. As you can understand, the loads are significant. The bracket itself is made from a rectangular profile tube. Therefore, I had to drill a large diameter hole to hide the bolts, and in the middle, I made a smaller diameter hole. Regarding the fastening itself, the next point, as I mentioned before, is that the lower part of the pull-up bar rests against the wall and tends to break through the drywall. Therefore, as I mentioned before, standard brackets will not suffice here. We will need to come up with something for the top and the bottom. How did I solve this problem? As you can see, I have prepared 4 holes for the fasteners here. And if the upper fastening works by pulling away, then the lower one works by pushing against. And I have installed such supports here, and the left and right elements of the pull-up bar construction rest on these supports. The pull-up bar itself does not touch the wall, only the bracket does. As for drilling the holes, the technology of drilling holes here also has its peculiarities, and there are certain nuances that need to be taken into account. The most important nuance: you should start drilling with a drill bit of the smallest diameter. If you have a 6 mm long drill bit, begin drilling with that. Drill a hole of 6 mm, then 8, then 10, then 12. Why is this necessary? The fact is that the material itself is heterogeneous, whether it is brick, whether it is concrete, or whether it is a cinder block. And when you drill a large diameter hole, you may not even notice it, but sometimes the drill bit shifts slightly to the side. You seem to have marked everything correctly, precisely, and accurately, but in reality, you will end up with slightly misaligned holes. I have fallen into this trap many times, and I don't want you to fall into it too. Therefore, we first drill a hole of a small diameter, then larger, larger, and larger, until we reach the diameter necessary for installing the anchors. In this case, I will be using anchors with a diameter of 14 millimeters, but I still prefer anchors with a diameter of 16 millimeters. Keep this in mind. It turns out that I currently do not have a 16 available. Buying it is problematic as it requires a long trip. Therefore, we will install a 14. This will be enough. But just to be safe, I still recommend using 16 anchors. And we will use these screws. To mount the bracket, we will need to use these spacers. I made these spacers from a 1/2-inch metal pipe. Here, I painted one part. The spacer will sit exactly like this. The support of the bracket that I made should not rest on the wall, but rather on the spacers themselves. I made 4 such spacers. After you have drilled the hole of the required diameter, you will need to drill wider holes in the drywall for the spacers themselves. The next nuance you will encounter is the installation of the anchor. The thing is, I do not recommend installing these anchors dry. Why? There will be significant forces. It seems reliable, but not entirely. That's why I use this type of mounting adhesive. It could be some kind of liquid nails. The specifics aren't particularly important. You go to the hardware store and buy a tube of the best mounting adhesive, the strongest and most reliable, as a lot depends on this tube. We apply this adhesive to the anchor. You can apply glue directly into the hole. A nozzle is included in the kit, but it may not be sufficient. So, sometimes I apply glue to the screw itself. And then spread this glue inside the hole. This also works quite well. However, it is also not easy to quickly insert the anchor into the hole. We must not forget that there is a certain distance from the drywall to the wall itself. There are even situations where this distance is greater than the length of the anchor. How do I solve this problem? I use this device to push the anchor into the hole. Usually it is some kind of fastening, a combined screw along with a nut. I put on the anchor and then insert it into the hole and tap it in. With a hammer, we apply glue evenly on the anchor and insert it into the hole. And then we carefully and gently tap the anchor into the hole. Done. We repeat this operation for all 4 holes. So, I installed the bracket myself. In general, I didn't film the moment of screwing it in. I don't see the point, as it's all quite clear. I immediately noticed my mistakes in the painting below, and many other things. But most importantly, the crash stain is installed. However, let's not forget that we used mounting glue there, and it is necessary to give it a day to dry, react, crystallize, or however you want to put it. This structure could then be put into operation. The pull-up bar is already there. I do not recommend using it yet. And as we can see, the tactic worked. The structure rests against this part and does not touch the wall itself, meaning the load is exclusively on the bracket. The pull-up bar does not touch the wall. And most importantly, I want to wish you good progress in improving your physical fitness. And most importantly, I want to wish you that your motivation does not fade. Because practice shows that in more than 80% of cases, such constructions turn from a tool for improving physical fitness into just a structure for drying laundry, storing things, and so on. That's all. If you found the video helpful and enjoyed it, please support the video with a like and a comment. And if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated on all my latest videos. Good luck to everyone.